Something unexpected echoes across Iran's deserts and boulevards. Where minarets once concentrated spiritual life, discrete groups of Christians now meet in living rooms or dim cafes. It's not an isolated case. Surveys show that more than 1 million Iranians have traded the Quran for the Bible, and the number grows every week. What makes so many people take such a huge risk? Many point to the long-term wear and tear of religious repression. The promise of inner freedom speaks louder than the fear of state punishment. As hope finds a new home, makeshift Christian gatherings overflow while mosques that used to be packed now show empty rows. Before we go on, hit subscribe and turn on the bell so every new chapter reaches you right on time, and none of this journey slips by. The phenomenon is making waves beyond Iran's borders. Governments, analysts, and religious leaders are trying to grasp the causes and the possible fallout. If a country seen as a symbol of Shiite Islam is making such a turn, what impact will that have on other nations where faith and political power mix? In the next few minutes, we'll open the doors to these secret meetings, hear stories of families rewriting their spiritual identity, and see how support networks form far from the regime's eyes. Each story reveals more than a simple change of religion. It signals a transformation that could reshape the entire religious map of the Middle East. In Iran, faith and power have shared the stage since 1979. The government, molded by Shiite Islam, enforces rules that shape daily life and punishes any dissent. The morality police patrol the streets to enforce the hijab. The shot fired at a woman without her veil reignited global outrage and showed how the scarf has become a test of submission. Behind the fear, signs of fatigue keep growing. It's estimated that almost 2/3 of the 75,000 mosques have closed because worshippers have vanished. Senior cleric M. Mohammed Abul Qasim acknowledged the drop, admitting that the empty prayer rugs point to a crisis of faith the state apparatus can't stop. That spiritual vacuum opened space for an unexpected movement nicknamed the Jesus Revolution. Research by CBN and the Radio Ministry. The Tide estimates that 1 million Iranians have switched from Islam to Christianity. The phenomenon isn't just a numbers curiosity. It echoes political, economic, and social frustrations. When hope is choked in the public square, many look for new answers in secret services streamed through apps or in Bibles shared in whispers. Every closed temple, every hijab questioned, and every baptism performed in silence adds tension to a system that seems solid but feels the ground shifting beneath it. When the gears of a theocratic state start to grind, the first sound you hear is hope slipping through the cracks. In Iran, it echoes in reports of overcrowded prisons, in morality patrols that collect whispers, and in voices that keep singing even when muffled. In this climate, Christianity feels like a breath of fresh air. It invites a direct relationship with God, offers forgiveness that starts from scratch, and insists that human dignity doesn't need government approval. Todd Nettleton, a voice of the martyrs, points to clear signs of social exhaustion. Some of the highest drug addiction rates on the planet, corruption dug deep into basements and ballrooms of power, and more than half the population living below the poverty line. Every statistic chips away at the promise of justice the Islamic Republic claims to represent and reinforces the sense that, in practice, the official message has turned into punishment. Empty pockets widen the spiritual void. International sanctions, mismanagement, and billion-dollar embezzlement have wiped out opportunities, driven up prices, and shortened the future of an entire generation. In that vacuum, a survey by the Dutch Institute Gaan acts like a silent referendum. 80% of Iranians would rather have a democratic government than remain under theocracy. The ground is ripe for a faith that talks about concrete love instead of corrective punishment. For many, embracing Christianity isn't just swapping holy books. It's declaring that there's another way to live and to belong. Before we go on, hit subscribe and turn on the bell so every new chapter reaches you right on time and none of this journey slips by. When the promise of freedom crosses borders and touches hearts used to fear, a movement that's hard to smother is born. In Iran, where every gesture is watched by the state, quiet interest in Christianity keeps growing, fueled by the sense that human rights bloom better where this faith has taken root. For young people tired of empty promises, the Christian message feels like a key to something bigger than political reforms: equality before God. That curiosity triggers an immediate reaction from Islamic leaders. Apostasy is a crime. Anyone who leaves Islam faces courts, prison, and sometimes death. Raids, interrupted services, and jailed leaders have become routine for a government that fears any spark of change. Even so, repression hasn't stopped communities from meeting in discreet rooms or on encrypted apps. Gospels pass from phone to phone. Services are streamed from anonymous rooms. And each story shows that trading safety for belonging is worth it. The appeal goes beyond disillusionment with Islam. Converts say they were drawn by Christianity's focus on compassion, forgiveness, and the chance to call God Father. That direct bond reshapes self-esteem. They no longer need middlemen to be heard. In a land scarred by injustice, Jesus' words in Matthew 11:28-30 sound like relief, a call to drop old burdens on the shoulders of a God willing to carry the pain alongside you. I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest in me. Centuries later, that line still reaches people who are worn out. For many Iranians, it's the pause their souls have been looking for, a song of freedom in a place where air is scarce. In everyday Persian life, built on surveillance, subsidy lines, and corruption headlines, Christianity has become more than a belief. It's a refuge. When someone opens the door to Jesus, every convert whispers to those in power, "Your yoke doesn't fit me." Receiving a New Testament or joining a house church carries the same shade of rebellion. The government knows it. With state-run mosques and laws that blend faith and nation, any secret baptism cracks the theocratic facade. Decades of broken promises, prosperity that never came, morals that slipped away, justice that favors a few, have eaten away at public trust. While drug dependence grows and poverty pushes families to the margins, more and more people are sure there's another path. In that setting, Jesus' invitation goes beyond comfort. It offers a way to live without fear, a step outside the gears that tighten around you. Anyone who sets foot on that road finds the load is light precisely because they no longer carry it alone. Amid daily tension, an unexpected path appears. Christianity shows up not as a system of rules, but as an invitation to live together based on love, forgiveness, and inner renewal. Centered on a direct bond with God that puts compassion ahead of coercion. This proposal pulls in a steady stream of seekers tired of the official script. Before we go on, hit subscribe and turn on the bell so every new chapter reaches you right on time and none of this journey slips by. The growth, though, triggers alarms in the halls of power. To the government, every new convert is a potential shakeup to a political machine that depends on the one state-approved religion. The response is quick. Underground services get raided, leaders are interrogated, and any public sign of faith becomes suspicious. The message is clear. Straying from the official route brings risks. Even under watch, the urge to share the discovery doesn't back off. Online communities gain strength. Quiet gatherings fill living rooms, and small groups build support networks where whispered prayers become fuel for courage. Each story of personal change travels through universities, markets, and cafes, opening cracks in the wall of fear. And so the silent revolution keeps moving through back alleys and phone screens, stitched together by stories of everyday people who, away from the state's spotlight, found hope that dodges repression and isolation. And every day they write new chapters still waiting to be told. Behind closed doors, small groups of Iranians meet in ordinary rooms that, for a few hours, become secret temples. 10 to 15 people sit on worn-out couches or on the floor, sharing whispered songs. The click of the latch brings a collective sigh. Inside, for a moment, there's freedom. But the feeling of shelter is fragile. Suddenly, heavy steps on the stairs and ordered knocks announce the police. Agents storm in like it's war. Leaders vanish before they can say goodbye. In detention centers, they face isolation, endless questioning, and promises of relief if they deny Jesus and return to Islam. They're charged with threatening state security, even though all they want is to worship. Still, something unexpected happens. Every arrest spreads even more curiosity about the gospel. Amid inflation, corruption, and censorship, many see Jesus' message as a way out. Internal statistics, never released, show the Christian community growing in silence. The words of Matthew 10:22, which warned of persecution, now sound like proof it's worth holding on. On the streets, eyes recognize each other and notes circulate in schoolbooks. Online, anonymous accounts share encrypted Bible studies. The regime tightens the screws, but faith finds gaps. And every new gap is an invite to the next meeting, whose address will only be revealed at the last minute. Relatives and friends of the new followers of Jesus, interestingly, show more empathy than the government itself. Many put it this way: if it works for you, whether Jesus, atheism, or something else, great. I just know Islam didn't fix my life, so I'm glad you found something that fixes yours. Todd Nettleton of Voice of the Martyrs notes that this line echoes from house to house and points to something bigger than a simple change of religion. What's happening in Iran is just the tip of an iceberg stretching across the Muslim world. Don Chen from the ministry Tide mentions quiet moves toward Christ sprouting in unlikely places, almost always off the front pages. Tehran tries to tighten the net, but the wave of conversions points to a deep transformation, driven by a search for freedom, truth, and hope. Before we go on, hit subscribe and turn on the bell so every new chapter reaches you right on time, and none of this journey slips by. Tide reports bring an intriguing detail. Many Muslims dream or have visions of Jesus. Even though these encounters don't lead to an instant decision, they knock down old cultural barriers and act as an invitation to explore Christianity. That opens space for conversations once unthinkable, and for genuine bonds with Jesus' followers. Shank, Tide's spokesperson, sees a pattern in these stories. After the vision, the person starts asking questions they'd never dare to ask in public. The intimate experience sparks courage to explore new paths, and each question triggers another, like dominoes. Now I realize how much God loves me. For a long time I thought He wanted to punish me. The phrase shows up in reports of Muslims who, while asleep, see Jesus reaching out His hand. In Islamic culture, dreams are windows to the divine. When Jesus steps through that window, the message brings care and direction, dismantling the harsh idea many had of God. Driven by this encounter, men and women start rethinking their certainties. They look up texts, watch videos, and speak in hushed tones with people who've already walked this path. That first step sparks an awakening that, while making headlines in Iran, quietly spreads through the Islamic world. Researcher Tom Schenk says what's happening in Tehran is only the visible side of a movement that ignores borders. In Afghanistan, the script is tenser. Christians meet in secret, fearing the Taliban. Every gathering calls for caution because infiltration can be fatal. Even so, sources point to growth. People willing to risk everything for a direct relationship with God, fueled by the inner freedom they felt that night. As these stories multiply, one question hangs in the air. What makes someone challenge tradition, danger, and even their own life because of a dream? In Yemen, the spread of Christianity is moving at twice the global average. Research data calls the phenomenon surprising, especially in a culture shaped for centuries by Islam and amid a humanitarian crisis that weakens the population. Just a few miles away in Saudi Arabia, once unthinkable signs are popping up. Analysts at Voice of the Martyrs report that, even under harsh restrictions, the monarchy has begun to accept the idea that followers of Jesus can live side by side with Muslims, something unimaginable 2 decades ago, when any hint of religious diversity was quickly silenced. What explains this turnaround? Before we go on, hit subscribe and tap the bell so every new episode reaches you right on time and none of this journey slips by. On social media, the topic has taken on a life of its own. A tweet from conservative commentator Den Doozer went viral after he cited a 2000 interview in which Sheikh Al-Qahtani supposedly said that 667 Muslims were leaving the faith every hour, adding up to 6 million a year. The numbers, though, lack solid proof and remain under suspicion. Even so, reports from ministries like Tide and Voice of the Martyrs, along with confessions from former Muslims, suggest something big is underway. Many of these new converts describe their experience as part of a larger move of God's Spirit, a current that, they say, crosses borders and can reshape not just individual destinies, but whole societies. In communities labeled strongholds of Islam, something unexpected happens. The breath of the Spirit slips through ideological walls and changes personal paths. Jesus' message of redemption winds through ancient alleys and big cities, offering an invitation that doesn't need a cultural passport. For those raised to see God as distant and severe, discovering grace and forgiveness is like opening a window in the desert. The fresh air of mercy replaces the weight of fear. The impact isn't just internal. When locals embrace this new certainty, habits shift, relationships renew, and small communities start reflecting values once thought impossible. Local leaders are surprised to see that faith doesn't arrive with clashes but with everyday acts of care. Every story that surfaces becomes a spark in a scene tired of broken political promises. There's a quiet revolution moving from house to house. While official statistics stick to static numbers, personal stories show lights turning on in the tightest alleys. Even under government pressure and social risk, the conviction of being loved by God finds cracks. Hearts once hardened by hopelessness open up, proving no law can lock out a love that insists on coming in. If this journey of faith and transformation spoke to you, drop a like, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe so you won't miss the next chapters. May hope keep burning strong in your heart. See you soon.